All right, this is our last algebra review, the very last one, all right? We're not doing any more. Well, any more new worksheets, okay? We'll do a review before we take the quiz. So tomorrow we'll review. Friday we'll take the quiz on the last three. So what's that? 7, 8, and 9. Okay, all the ones where you had to solve equations. You're going to have a quiz just on those three. Okay, it won't cover the first, 7 of them or 6 of them, right? You already had a quiz on that. I need everybody's attention. Sure. All right. So, like I was trying to say, a few people were listening. Quiz on Friday, and we'll review tomorrow. And let's get this one done. This will be the last one that we do. So it says multi-step equations. I'm not going to make them up. I'm just going to take some right from the worksheet, and let's just start with number 1. All right. Doesn't mean you leave them blank on the worksheet. All right. You still got to redo them, but at least you'll know how to do them. Negative 4x minus 6x. Okay. All right. I see where the third step comes in. Do you?
Yeah.
Actually, it's only 2 steps. All right, let's take a look. We have to get x by itself, don't we? All right. So, but there's 2 x's there. So what are we going to do with that? Combine the like terms. That's exactly right. So we had a worksheet on that, didn't we? So this shouldn't be new. So where's our like terms? Right, the negative 4x and the minus 6x, okay? Those are your like terms. So we're not going to do anything with that negative 20 just yet. So let's just add those like terms. So negative 4x minus 6x, what's that? Negative 10x, good. So this is only 2 steps, even though they say multi-steps. But here's a step you didn't have to do. Excuse me. Here's a step you didn't have to do in those earlier 2-step equations. I don't think they ever had you add like terms, but now sometimes you do. All right? Now we only got one more step. What do we do? Divide by negative 10. Negative. Make sure you divide by the negative. Don't forget that. Okay? And divide both sides by negative 10. That cancels. That cancels. X equals, what's negative divided by negative? Positive. 20 divided by 10 is 2. You can keep it like that if you want to, but I like to write it like that. I always like the variable to go first. So x equals 2. It's as easy as that. All right, let me find one that's a little different. There's one already. Number 3, it gets a little different. So here's something we haven't done yet. We've basically done everything right here, all right? This one's just a little different, and you're going to see this kind of stuff a lot. Even in geometry. Remember, I keep harping on that. When we start doing geometry, we are going to be doing some algebra, and you'll see stuff like this, and you'll have to do this kind of stuff in geometry class. So that's why I'm doing this algebra review. But I've said that a bunch of times. Now, look what's weird about this. This also has an x here and an x here, but they're not on the same side. All right, so I can't combine those like terms, can I? Because you got that equals dividing both of them. So I can't just go 8x plus 7x is 15x. I can't do that. What I can do, though, is take one of the x's and put it to the other side. All right, that's what I'm going to do first. Okay, so let's take, and it doesn't matter what side you put it on. You could put it on the right side. You could put it on the left side. Yeah, that's a good idea. I was going to say that. All right, I usually take the smaller number and put it on the side with the bigger number, so that if I subtract it, then I'm left with a positive number, okay? To me, I just would rather, if I had a choice, I would rather deal with the positive numbers than the negative numbers, wouldn't you? Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that plus 7x, not just the 7, not just the x. This acts as one number right there, okay? It acts just like it's a 9 or a 2 or something like that, right? It's not just a 7, it's not just an x. What is it? It's a what? It's a 7x. So what's happening with this 7x? It's being added, right, to this number right here. How do I get rid of that 7x if it's being added? I subtract it. So I do not divide by 7 here. You understand? This acts as one number and it's being added. This 7x is not being multiplied. This is being added. So we subtract a 7x. Where do we subtract the 7x from over here? From the negative 2? From the 8x? Which one? From the 8x, right, because they're the like terms, all right? So if I subtracted a 7x here, I'm going to put the minus 7x underneath of that 8x. You with me? Now, if I was teaching Algebra 1 for the very first time and you've never seen this before in your life, I might drop everything down, okay, and then go from there. But you've seen algebra before, okay? You've done this stuff before. Am I right on that? Yeah, last year you did this. So in the same step, look, I've got the x, I moved it from the right and I put it to the left. Why not, in the same exact step, get rid of this minus 2? Because it's over here on the left-hand side. I want to put it on the other side because I don't want that over here. How could I get rid of that minus 2? Add a 2. So I'm going to do it in the same step. Now you could have just dropped everything down and then gone ahead and added a 2. But you might as well just do it right now, don't you think? All right, kind of saves you a step, kind of. All right, plus 2, and then what? Plus 2. This is 0. And now what do we get? 8x minus 7x is 1x, or just what? Just x. That added up to 0, so I don't have anything there. What else do I bring down? Equals. This canceled out, so what do I got? Negative 9 plus 2. What's negative 9 plus 2? You should be able to do that in your head. They're different signs, so you subtract, take the sign of the bigger number. So it's negative 7. All right? And that's how you do it. It's almost like one step, isn't it? All right? It's kind of 2 steps because you had to subtract this, then you had to add that. So that's kind of like 2 steps. We kind of made it look like one step. You okay with doing it like that? All right, let me find another one. Let's do 13. I don't want to do too many of these, right? I don't want to spoil the fun. Yep. Yep. So let's write this down. Everybody write it down. You. Let's see, what am I doing? 13 minus 6k equals 6 divided or times 1 plus 3k. All right, there it is. Well, what do you think? Where do we start? What do you think we do first? Well, you can't really, you could, but I'm not going to in this situation because you'd have to. Now you could divide by both sides by 6, but you got to make sure which one of these do you divide by 6. You can divide the whole entire side by 6. So you divide this by 6 and this by 6. That's where people get into trouble. Okay, they forget. They might just divide one of them and not the other. And what if this wasn't a 6? What if it was a 5? Okay, could you go 5 divided by 6? No, you couldn't. Okay, so I'm not going to do that on this problem. Could you do that in this situation? Yes, you could, because 18 divided by 6 comes out to a 3. 6 divided by 6 comes out to a 1. So yeah, it does work, but I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to take the 6 and distribute it. All right. Because I think this will be less confusing for you. All right, you could do it the other way, but I'm going to do it like this. So negative 18 minus 6k equals, let's distribute. 6 times 1 is 6. It's plus 6 times 3 is 18 what? 18k. All right? Everybody with me on that? Now, I got a k on one side, I got a k on the other side. I want them on the same side, don't I? All right, so I could take this 18k and move it over here to the left. Or I could take this minus 6k and move it to the right. Either way would work, all right? But here's what I would do. If it was me, and Zion said the same thing on the last problem, I would take the smaller one and move it to the side with the bigger one. So what's smaller? Well, negative 6 is smaller than 18, isn't it? So let's get rid of the negative 6k. Remember, This acts as one number. So I don't just divide by 6 or anything like that, okay? This acts as just one solid number. How do I get rid of that if it's got a minus in front? I add it. So I add a 6k. And where do I add it over here? Do I add it to the 6? No, because it doesn't have a k with it. This has a k, so I'm going to add it to this one. It's on the right-hand side, and that's fine. You can put the variable on the right-hand side. So what happens here? That canceled. Well, in the same step, I got the k's on the right-hand side. What do I want to move over to the other side now? The 6. How do I get rid of that 6? That's it. I subtract a 6 from both sides, subtract a 6 from this side. Make sure you write down all these steps. The 6 minus 6 goes to 0. Now let's bring everything down. I got an equal sign here. Let's do this one first. 18 plus 6. What's 18 plus 6? 24 what? Okay. What's this going to be? This is negative 18 minus 6. Add the opposite. Yep, that's negative 24. And there's no k with this one because it's just two numbers. Everybody with me? All right, one more step and we're done. I got to get k by itself. So it's being multiplied by 24. How do I get rid of it? It's being multiplied? I divide by 24. Come over here, divide by 24. And then k equals negative 24 over positive 24, negative 1. You could keep it like that and circle it if you want, but I kind of like to write the variable first and write it like that. Now look, is there any way, if I see this on your homework, right, there's 13, the problem's written out, okay, and then you just write negative 1, and that's the only thing I see on problem 13. Okay, yeah, I'm not going to give it to you, all right? Now, I don't mark them right or wrong, but if I see that happening a lot, right, if I see it happening the majority of your homeworks, I'm going to give you at least 3-4 points off, okay? If I see that every problem just has an answer next to it and no work, it's a 0 for sure, all right? Look at all this stuff you had to do. All that stuff. And I want to see it. I want to see it on your paper, all right? Now, you may not have enough room on this. This is only one-sided, okay? So you only have 20 to do on this one. We've had 30, 24, 26 on the other ones. But if you need to do it on the back, that's fine. Put a little note, put on the back, and then show the work. If you write kind of small, you might be able to fit it in this spot, okay? But if you write kind of big, you may not be able to. If you just want to write it on another sheet of paper, right, that's fine as well. Just staple your other sheet of paper to this worksheet. Everybody hear me? Okay. All right. That's it. And we're going to have some time to work on this. So let me pass this out. Use the rest of the time to work on it. Get as many done as you possibly can.